Hey guys, this is IrieStarcraft and I'm back to cast another game for you. This will be a 3 versus 3 on Dig Site, and it will be between ThorLoser, the red Terran player, and Vagabond, the blue Protoss player. Their teammate will be Akumu, the teal Zerg, and their opponents are going to be haCkFaSe, the purple Zerg player. His teammates will be MrAnF, the orange Terran player, and their teammate will be haCkGOku, the yellow Terran. So we have definitely seen Fase and Goku before, and they have been pretty exciting to watch. So I'm looking forward to this matchup on Dig Site. I've seen and played on quite a few really good games on this map. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this map at this point, but basically there are two there's high yield expansion islands in these corners here, and then there are two center high yield expansions do these have? No, these are still only 6 mineral patches, and then there's actually high yields here blocked by some rubble, so there's plenty of opportunities for expansion and a long-term game on this map. However, often I do not end up playing a long-term game, though most 3v3s I play don't end up long-term. And that is just the nature of a 3v3 matchup. But these watchtowers always very key early in the game. You want to get that vision, as it covers pretty much there's 2 ways through from base to base, across here and across here. So you want to get control of those watchtowers and get that vision. So let's take a look at some of these bases and see what kind of tech routes we can expect here. The refinery is just now finishing for ThorLoser, while the barracks is still about only 2/3 complete. So actually there is going to be another barracks here. I think that ThorLoser was maybe considering... No, he couldn't have gone factory because he's still way behind on that, so we'll see. He looks like going to be going for Marines, and he will be able to take out the scouting SCV without losing any of his own. Always a good job there. Such a pain. And Vagabond will be throwing down this forge to create what looks like a 1-slot wall in here, and most likely a cannon in this location or over here. Yeah, right here, I definitely like this opener for Vagabond. Even though they are only going against one Zerg player, but you have to know what your teammates are doing. If Akumu is going for a late spawning pool or a Roach Warren like here, then you're not going to have early Zerglings to deal with this pressure. And the Zerg player like haCkFaSe, normally what he would definitely want to do is start pecking away at the Protoss base. That would be the first thing that these guys would like to do. However, there is going to be a cannon finishing here, and so the Zealot normally what would happen here is the Zerglings would just start pecking away at the gateway, and you get super annoyed. But with this cannon, the Zealot won't be forced to run all over the place and try and protect this wall at the same time. So Zerglings will be poking up here into ThorLoser's base, who has actually no Marines on the field yet, but he does have one Marauder now. He has a Marauder inside this bunker, and what he really needs is some Marines to deal with all these Zerglings. And now with some some fast Marines coming out from MrAnF, this could be a little bit of trouble for him, but he does have a bunch of SCVs pulled up here now, and even throwing down an engineering bay to get this wall in. Nicely done there by ThorLoser, as this add-on was, I think, a tech lab there, got destroyed. He managed to throw down an engineering bay in time to complete this wall off. So top team trying to do some harassment, and the bottom team really playing back on their heels, trying to be defensive, but purposefully defensive. So we do have some more gateways now for Vagabond coming down, and the top team going for these fast Marines. You really want to try and do some damage, as MrAnF continuing to pump Marines out of 2 barracks. And now we do have Hellions on the way for Goku. 2 of them already down here, so trying to make something happen with a Marine Hellion Zergling push, a very effective early game strategy. And the one thing about this strategy, these Marines are so slow. A couple of them getting picked off by the roaches, and the Zerglings from Fase are going to try and get a surround on these roaches. They are only, however, going to be able to surround a couple of them down here. Even this roach getting back into this this little cranny here pretty nicely. And the Queen, look at the placement on the Queen. Watch out, drones! Here comes the Hellions from the back. haCkGOku trying to roast them up. They have drones from Akumu running around in circles here just in the nick of time to stay away from the Hellions. Nicely done there from Akumu. Great defense. He's got enough roaches. This army is going to have to fall back. Very nicely done there from Akumu, and Vagabond sending a couple units of his own to help ensure that victory. We do have more Zerglings streaming in from haCkFaSe, And there's still 4 Hellions out here for Goku, but are they going to fall back at this point? They just don't have enough. They lost too much in that engagement trying to take out the Zerg base, but the building placement was so good for Akumu. The Spine Crawler really paid off, using a Roach here and a Queen here to really cut off the possibilities of those Hellions. Nicely done. So the 4-gate is now kicking for Vagabond, and he does have +1 weapons on the way. And this is a build that I personally, you guys probably heard me say this 100 times, but I always think of the Protoss builds that I need to work on for these team games, and this is definitely a good one. The Gateway to Forge to Cannon into 4-gate is becoming a pretty popular build now, especially with the extended research time of the Warp Gate technology now. It's a lot harder to get the units you need out quick enough when you go for that 4-gate. So having that 1 cannon can really help, and then you make it pay off by getting that quick +1s weapons research. So powerful for Protoss. As the top team, sticking with their strategy for the most part, Goku though now is getting some Marauders on the field, and that will be to deal with these Roaches. So you've heard me say it 100 times as the battle is now going to commence, and it looks like top team is going to be forced to fall back. There are too many units. Vagabond with that 4-gate really beefing up this army now with 1 sentry in here. If he had had maybe another sentry or 2, this could have been serious damage dealt because of the force fields. But now ThorLoser with some Marines and Marauders of his own, it looks like we're going to see a counterattack. I'm not sure how great of an idea this is. Are they maybe it's not an all-in play and just to allow them a chance to expand. We'll see what they try and do with it, but there is now 2 siege tanks on the field. Make it 3 for MrAnF. And that looks like it may be enough to ward them back. Those siege tanks going to be very, very difficult to break at this point in the game without a ton of army to try and overwhelm those, and no blink research or anything that is effective against those siege tanks. As Stimpack is not even finished yet, so Stimpack takes so long to research now, but I'm surprised that ThorLoser hasn't begun that, because he does seem to be going for a pretty bio-heavy build here. So I expect to see a Stimpack research on the way any minute from ThorLoser. And let's check out the top team, what's going on. It looks like haCkGOku is definitely going to want to take this island expansion here, and that definitely will pay dividends. MrAnF is likely thinking about putting a planetary fortress at this location, as it's somewhat exposed here, though definitely not as exposed. Oh, I missed a drop in the back of ThorLoser's base. Sorry about that, you guys. There are Hellions and Marauders in the back of ThorLoser's base, and what was he able to save? It looks like he did lose quite a few SCVs there. I think this calls for a jump back. I'm sorry, you guys, but this calls for a jump back. I missed that one. Here comes the Hellion drop with the Marauders to support it. At what point does ThorLoser realize this is going on? They did get a few shots off, but a pretty nice reaction time there from ThorLoser, able to get his army up into position. And I know maybe not all of you want to see me do that, but some of you do, and I think in some situations, as the Stalkers catching up to the Medivacs, killing them when they're full of units, that's huge right there. But what I was going to say is that from now on, I think I'm just going to use my own judgment. In a situation like that, I'm going to go ahead and jump back if I missed an attack like that. And is Vagabond going to try and press this again? These siege tanks so well positioned here, going to be so difficult to break. Clearing off this watchtower. ThorLoser with a slow Reaper here. I wonder if he was trying to do some harassment with that, or just using it to scout. I'm not sure what is up with this Reaper. Maybe he just wants to try and get lucky with it and come in here and see how many SCVs he can kill before haCkGOku does anything about it. Though there is a bunch of Marauders here that ran right by the Reaper. I wonder if Goku even realizes it. He is taking out this SCV here. That's so annoying. Reapers in your base. And there's pings going off here. As you see, Vagabond now with the vision from this Reaper is actually able to peck away at this factory. So now the top team is pulling all of their army over here. This may be a little bit of overkill to save this one factory. The scan going off from ThorLoser to even get a few extra shots there, and now all these siege tanks are out of position. We'll see if he decides to move them back. These two could have been pretty exposed there if one of the bottom team had decided to use that as sort of a diversion. Could have made something happen, but it looks like a Zergling run by at the same time has made it into Akumu's base, and I think I got here just in time to watch this one. As you see the Zerglings doing that hold position to kill as many drones as they can, and they weren't able to get a whole lot. and some force field there trying to trap all of those Zerglings, but they were not able to trap them. And so yeah, I thought about maybe going back for that one, but I don't think so. As you guys, how many times have you guys seen those Zergling run-bys? You know, man, all the time. A nice play from haCkFaSe. That's exactly what you got to do, man. When your army's out of position, make something happen. As we're getting some supply depots down. I guess that's because MrAnF nearing supply blockage. As Akumu has got his whole army up here on this watchtower. Pretty bad spot. It looks like he's going to get his entire army trapped while he's bitching and moaning to his teammates. And he's going to lose his entire army. And this is a lesson for you folks. Don't sit there and bitch to your teammates, because you'll end up looking really bad as these Marauders are going to clean them up. However, Vagabond and ThorLoser are trying to come to his defense and kill some of these Marauders. It looks like haCkGOku may attempt to lift these Marauders off here and save some of them, and I think he will be able to do that. He is thinking about dropping them here. It's got to be careful though, because ThorLoser has a bunch of Marines in here, and he is going to take out all of the dropships full of units again. Oh man. Oh man, haCkGOku, that's 4 medevacs full of Marauders and Hellions that he has lost. That time they were all Marauders. And now Vagabond is the one who's stuck up here, but that's because there's a bunch of siege tanks chilling down here. So we'll see how, or if he can manage to get out of here. There's still no blink research. We don't have it on the way. We do have 2 Colossi on the way. An extended thermal lance is on the way though for Vagabond. And ThorLoser is upgrading a planetary fortress at this expansion location. MrAnF has this one kicking in big time. Goku's got this one decently kicking. And I got scared there for a second seeing that blue in the back of this base, but there are just a bunch of zealots chilling here from Vagabond. Maybe just leaving those on purpose to guard against more Zergling run-bys. But ThorLoser is going to stim up here and run right into these tanks, and he is able to pick off 3 of them and then lift his dropship off. And then it looks like he's going to shuttle them right up here into Goku's base and drop them right on top of this siege tank. Unfortunately, there is a missile turret there, unfortunately for ThorLoser, that is. And it looks like Vagabond's got to be really careful here. These siege tanks, these Marines and Marauders are trying to draw his army into the siege tanks. And the scan now going off from MrAnF will be able to clean up all of the Stalkers. Bottom team in a bit of trouble at this point. And haCkFaSe trying to grab his first expansion finally. And still only on hatchery tech is haCkFaSe only Zerglings. So man, haCkFaSe really got to think about making some kind of tech switch here. You can't stick on Zerglings forever and expect to win, as Colossi will just fry Zerglings. Fry them. And now it looks like the top team, MrAnF and haCkGOku, are going to start shelling away at this planetary fortress. And the siege tanks are sieging up right now, so this planetary fortress is giving me a lot of trouble. Like I said before, this expansion is so exposed. I was talking about how this map has all these expansions, and yet they're really hard to defend because they're pretty wide open to your opponent. So what is the bottom team going to be able to do about this? They may have to think about making a counterattack. Because, well, there are 3 Colossi on here from Vagabond. Something that you notice Vagabond doing right there. Always got to be careful when you have your Colossi grouped up with everything else. You can't just click over here, because, or like in this case, the Colossi would run right over the middle, and the rest of your army will run around. So you don't want to make sure that your army doesn't get split up like that. As the planetary fortress has gone down, and it looks like Vagabond is going to try and lay waste to this bio ball with his 3 make it 4 Colossi, utilizing the force fields, though not trapping too many units there. And now ThorLoser stimming up and running right into these siege tanks and picking them off while these units from Goku are out of position. Nicely done right there by the bottom team, and the Colossi are going to force the retreat on this ball of Marines and Marauders. There is 1 Viking in here though, as it just realized another drop has occurred. MrAnF did look like he shuttled his units right into ThorLoser's base. And again, I'm sorry you guys, but I missed that one, and I've got to jump back and check out where did that happen. How long was this happening for? Oh my god. MrAnF this entire time had this dropship coming, and this was before the planetary fortress even went down. So excuse me you guys, I'm not 100% sober, But, so I am going to miss a few things here and there, but, wow, I am impressed that MrAnF managed to pull this off. And ThorLoser, I feel like almost like, man, look how fast all those SCVs went down. Big trouble at the same time as that planetary fortress going down. So, ThorLoser is definitely in huge trouble right now. I'm going to speed it back up to about where we left off there quickly now. Again, sorry about that. But ThorLoser is pretty much out of this game now, and we'll see if he ends up giving his resources away to somebody else. Vagabond is trying to get this expansion at the high yield location up. And this is really starting to look bleak for the bottom team. The one thing they have going for him is this massive army of Colossi that Vagabond has, and a couple of sentries in here to try and maximize that. There's still, keep in mind, there still are a couple of drop ships back here, but there's Phoenix on the field for Vagabond that have not seen them. Oh man, those Phoenix could have taken out these drop ships, and instead, the drop is going to commence in the back of Vagabond's base. He does have a couple Colossi here, though, to deal with that, and ThorLoser using this barracks for scouting. Not much going on there, and Vagabond looks like defending this expansion from some harassment all at the same time, and oh man! Oh man, see, that's why you tech up from Zerglings, man. A few Colossi kill them all instantly. So, haCkFaSe is so far behind in tech, he finally has a lair now. He needs something here. We need some corruptors. There are so many Colossi on the field. I'm sorry, but haCkFaSe, you gotta bring me some other kind of tech than Zerglings right now. So we'll see what he ends up doing. There are a bunch of roaches coming out now, but it may be a little late to be trying to go mass roach. With all of these stalkers and Colossi, just a million Colossi on the field. For Vagabond, he even has some Phoenix out here with that army. So, I don't know. The top team I still think has a big advantage, but this game's definitely not over. So, Vagabond now, it looks like he will be able to take out haCkFaSe's expansion pretty much uncontested. As haCkFaSe is now running his drones and queen desperately down here. He's got these roaches that's no match for this army. He is trying to take this high yield over here, but no saturation there. And MrAnF though is really starting to shell away. I mean, Thor has. I'm trying to read the chat and talk, and that's always a bad idea, as apparently I already had the APM left up there. Sorry about that, you guys, but some great Phoenix play right there from Vagabond. You saw that. Love Phoenix against siege tanks, especially when you have the army to support it. Don't just go for the siege tanks or the bunch of Phoenix by themselves. You need the ground army to support it, but at the same time, Vagabond did lose this expansion. A nice job of haCkGOku of shelling away at that. This is going to be a very tough expansion to keep for Vagabond. Goku, meanwhile, has established this expansion, and I think Vagabond is going to have something to say about that. The blink is going to be finishing in about 15 seconds here for Vagabond. He's continuing to pump Colossus, as he should be. There's really nothing in the top team's arsenal that can deal with the Colossi. Meanwhile, Akumu finally trying to get that expansion. And I've been ragging on haCkFaSe for his teching, but look at Akumu's pretty much been doing the same thing. So he's got Zerglings here, and oh, by the way, this expansion quickly went down. No contest to that. And now Vagabond going to be bringing his army back here to deal with an honestly meager supply of roaches here from haCkFaSe. I don't even think lifting these roaches off really necessary at all, as all the roaches will go down so quickly. Too many Colossi on the field. I would love to see some Infestors or Corruptors on the field right now for haCkFaSe. I just feel like he's dropping the ball on that one. And ThorLoser, it looks like, actually has a barracks chilling up here. Though at that point, I was going to say he could make a Marine and try and like really harass there. He has a barracks sitting at this location, so that's odd. And now haCkFaSe, got to be careful with these Phoenix. There are quite a few Vikings on the field. And is he going to be trying to just straight up break this right here? He is going to try and overpower this with all of the Colossi. He needs to micro these Colossi in the back. They're focusing on a command center that's not even a planetary fortress. However, such a larger force here for Vagabond. He is going to be able to steamroll the army from Goku without Ant's army at the same time to help. Force fields being used nicely here in the back to protect against this Bio Ball that was trying to run around. These tanks are just not mobile enough to keep up with the Colossi, Stalker, and Sentries. Excuse me, though. MrAnF and Goku with a bunch of Vikings are really doing the best they can to whittle away these Colossi, but there's just too many. Vagabond will need to reinforce this with some Stalkers. You see him trying to do that right now. However, those could get intercepted by this army right here. And if he does double back and try and take out this army, that could even be GG, because there won't be anything that can contend with what he has that's on the map. So this just showing the power of Colossi. Really, with 2-1 upgrades, not that crazy. But here we go, Vikings from Goku, a last-ditch effort to take out some more Colossi. He has whittled it down to 4. It is down now to 4 Colossi for Vagabond, and he's got to try and end this, though. He's got to continue to be on the attack, because he's still going against 3 players, as it seems like it's basically a 1-on-3. Akumu doing all he can to harass, but it looks like Akumu's got enough issues right now dealing with Fase's roaches. At the same time, though, Vagabond just barely, it looks like it's just barely breaking haCkGOku. MrAnF desperately getting some Marauders out here, stemming up and taking out the final Colossi in that army. Final Colossus. Now all there is a bunch of sentries with plenty of energy, though, on these sentries. And Vagabond should really be trying to think about running away with these sentries. He may lose most of them to these Marauders as he tries to run away. Holy crap, I can't believe the bottom team is still in this game. This is unbelievable. And haCkFaSe has established this base again, as it seems like Akumu and Fase keep going back and forth. Excuse me there. This is what happens in a long game. I end up having burp attacks and random stuff. Sorry about that. But Fase and Akumu have just been going back and forth. Akumu's even using drones to fight here because he lost this hatchery, and he has nothing left to mine from. I'm not so sure about just throwing the drones there. At least use them with this army. But Vagabond now is going to be trying to take out this base. And there's just the income. I got to check the income right now for both teams. Goku and Fase each have a little bit. Vagabond, though, really mining the crap out of this base. And that is the only reason he's still alive right now. He still is pretty much kicking at this base, but that is quickly going to run out. The Dark Shrine now on the way for Vagabond. I love the tech switch right there to a Dark Shrine. And will the Dark Templars finally be the nail in the coffin? There is a couple of missile turrets over here, but no defense to speak of. And so we'll see what may happen, as I think this command center for MrAnF wants to fly down and land at this island location. And MrAnF with a huge army of SCVs. Will he be trying to steamroll anything with these SCVs? I don't know if it'll work. But it looks like now with 1 Colossi, Vagabond... Akumu apparently is just playing coach. He's just coaching while he plays Zerg. And you gotta love this when players tell you what to do all the time. I'm not sure, maybe they're friends and this is normal for them. But this is something that kind of gets a little annoying for me. A nice play, Vagabond, though, right there to blink up onto this high ground and was able to take out another fully loaded medevac. Excuse me there, as the Vikings from MrAnF will be able to finish off that Colossi, but forced to fall back as there's hardly any army to support. And I was gonna do a mini rant there for a minute about allies telling you what to do when they've worked themselves out of a game. But you know, if they're your friend, like, you know, whatever. And it depends on your team chemistry. But when it's random people, it tends to get pretty annoying for me. And maybe that's just my problem that I have against the allied trash talking that goes on nowadays. Honestly, I hate to go off on a bit of a tangent right here, as we do see Vagabond blinking in here to try and snipe down this hatchery. Will he blink out? We'll see. He may end up just losing all these stalkers. He does have 3 Colossi up here, though, that will be able to chase back this army. And I really think that Vagabond has this army now. There's just nothing to speak of for the top team if he can deny these expansions again. As you see, Akumu now sending some Zerglings up here to deal with this expansion. Nicely done there, managing to somehow stay in this game. Perhaps he had to ask for some resources just to get those Zerglings out, because he doesn't have a mining base. MrAnF is mining the crap out of this base. I'm not sure if he has enough SCVs, only like 90 at that base. And now, though, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. There's still a bunch of Marauders and Vikings on the field. And could this be the final battle of this game? We will see. But blinking forward with all of the stalkers, making sure that these Vikings can't get that many free shots. And there is just too much on the field for Vagabond, I believe. And now reinforcing with some more stalkers. Nicely done. There goes that army. 2 more Colossi are going to seal the deal, I think, in this game, as there is just no more economy for the top team. They have nothing left mining except for this one base by MrAnF, and he has no army, so it's going to be too hard for him to build up to deal with this. Are there Dark Templars perhaps somewhere? I wanted to see some Dark Templars on the field. There's one Dark Templar somewhere, and I wonder where it is right now. I want to find the Dark Templar. A scan went off. I think the Dark Templar may have been in here. GG's coming down from Goku. He is leaving the game. And so it looks like that is going to be it. Wow, really well played by the bottom team, and especially Vagabond. A great job staying in this game, showing the power of Protoss and Colossi when played well. Very nicely done. And I feel like, again, the top team, they dropped the ball, man. They dropped the ball. They allowed Vagabond to get a critical number of Colossi. You can't allow the Protoss player to get that many Colossi. You have to either make something happen before then to cripple their economy, or you need to really focus your tech route on dealing with Colossi. And that's what the Terran players did with the Marauders and Vikings. But the Zerg player haCkFaSe, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm just ripping haCkFaSe this game. He's a really good player, as apparently this game is still not over. Though I think that one is just going to about do it now for Vagabond, and MrAnF has left the game. So yeah, I don't want to be too harsh on haCkFaSe here, but I feel like he really needed to make a tech switch, and he didn't when Vagabond was getting just an out-of-control number of Colossi. But a really exciting game there. So thank you, Vagabond, for sending me this. And just to finish that one rant that I was going off on at the end, and it's something that I've talked about to you guys before, and it's so frustrating for me, but there's honestly, this game is so much fun, but there's nothing more frustrating or depressing playing this game than having allies that will just trash talk their own team whenever they lose. Like, no matter what, man, it's nobody will take credit or take any blame themselves. They always want to blame their teammate, and sometimes it's funny, but you can tell when it's meant to be funny and when it's just mean. And you're just like, dude, like, no, I didn't play a great game, my bad. Like, so you're just gonna like start cussing at me because like it's my fault we lost? I mean, come on, man, really? Like, sorry, this just, it happens to me occasionally, and it just makes me not want to play. I'm being straight up honest with you guys right now, that when an ally does that, like, and just gets pissed and mean and just dropping F-bombs, like, you fucking let one slip there a little bit, but you know what I'm saying. These guys just saying that to your teammate, like, when you lose, like, you must have issues, man, like, problems. You're just like insecure or something, that you have to constantly be cussing out your teammates when you lose. So it is the number one thing that I hate the most. Is the only thing that I really don't like about this game, is all the childish team trash talking that goes on. So anyway, you guys have heard me rant about that before, but I'm totally sick of it. I hate it. I will never condone that ever. So that's just my opinion, and on some things I have a strong opinion, and that is one of them. And so anyway, a great game, Vagabond. Thank you for sending me this game. It really was a pleasure to cast. I'm sorry it took me so long. I know you've been waiting for it, so it was well worth the wait. It was a great game, so thanks again, and that is going to do it for me. This is IrieStarcraft, and peace out.